What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning into /. So this video is about Nvidia Optimus. It's a hybrid dual GPU setup, usually for laptops. And I'm not going to make this distro specific. I'm going to discuss which distros actually work currently in the end of 2018 and how to set them up. It's kind of a pain because the support's kind of dropped off with Bumblebee and whatnot. If you don't know exactly what I'm talking about, or you just want to confirm, this picture is the best thing I can find to explain it. So you've got your CPU with a built-in Intel GPU, which will run your desktop and whatnot. And you also have your Nvidia GPU, and they work together. And you should be able to swap seamlessly between one and the other. You can run an application using the Nvidia GPU while the Intel GPU is still taking care of the rest of the desktop. So that's the best way to kind of display it and explain it here. I've done a couple of videos, like I did the how to install Nvidia Optimus in Ubuntu 18.04. I'll put a link in the corner up here. But this isn't truly real-time switching. This is using Prime Select. And this is with any Ubuntu-based distro. I can't get the Optirun or Primus run to work properly, and I haven't found anybody who has. So it's kind of strange considering in Debian-based distros, I can get it working, and Ubuntu is based on Debian. But I think they've strayed so far that the packages just aren't lining up anymore. The maintainers aren't the same. Not sure exactly what the issue is and why it's not being passed on to Ubuntu. But the best you could do is using Prime Select, as I showed in this video. But this means you have to reboot. So if you want to use your NVIDIA, you do Prime Select NVIDIA, and it'll do a bunch of stuff. And then you have to reboot. And then you're using NVIDIA 100% of the time. Then if you want to switch back to Intel, you have to use your Prime Select again, switch to Intel, and reboot. And then you're only using Intel. So it's kind of a pain because that's not what it's meant to be used for. It's meant to be real-time switching back and forth. Now, I've mentioned many times in a lot of my videos that Manjaro is the easiest to set up. It is literally, there is a GUI way. I'm actually not running Manjaro right now, so I can't show you. There is a GUI way in the settings to do it, but I prefer the terminal because you could see what's going on. And if there are any errors, you can see the errors pop up. So it's literally open the terminal, run this command here, and then reboot once it's done. And that's it. And then you can run Optirun to run your 3D applications. I'll get into Optirun a little later and show a demonstration, but that's it for Manjaro. It is super easy. It is the best. But Manjaro is a rolling release. So if you don't like rolling releases, you don't have to go Manjaro. You can go Debian or Debian-based. Debian, of course, is independent distro. It's one of the godfathers of Linux. It's what Ubuntu is based off of, and so many other distros. I'm actually using Q4OS right now. I've done a review on it. I'll pop that up in the corner here. And also things like Netrunner and many others are based on Debian. So you can just Google Debian Bumblebee and come to their wiki. I'll put the link to this. I'll put the link to the Manjaro thing as well in the description below. You go to here and it's basically follow these instructions. So it is just apt-get install Bumblebee, NVIDIA, and Primus. You run those. And then you're going to run this line here to add the i386 to your system, the architecture, and all this stuff too, because you need the i386 things for Steam and running any 32-bit applications under Optirun. If you're using straight Debian, you will have to edit your sources file. So to do that, because Debian only uses free packages, free software, it doesn't use proprietary, you won't be able to install the Bumblebee, NVIDIA, or Primus right out of the box. So you just do a sudo nano etc apt sources.list. Now, it might be sources.list. Check it out. Might be empty. You know what? Let me just go into it here. Apt here. Excuse me. So it might be in here, but it's probably in this directory. So sources.list.d, go in here. Because I'm using Q4OS, there are several lists. If you're using Debian, it's probably called base.list or something different, possibly. But in straight up Debian, there should only be one list file. Because I'm using Q4OS, I want to edit this file. So 20, sorry, sudo nano 20 Debian list. So this is the one you want to find. It's the one that will have the debian.org URLs in it. This is the one you want to find. So off the bat, you probably will only have this. All your lines will look like this. So you have to add contrib non-free. So you add those to all those lines, Control O, enter to save, Control X to exit, and then you're going to do your sudo apt update. And it's going to run through and update everything so that you get those contrib and non-free packages now available. I get some errors, don't worry, this is just Q4OS because their repos don't support i386, so that's not a problem. You won't see this if you're using straight up Debian. So now you've updated your repos, and what you can do is do an apt search Bumblebee. And you'll get all the packages that have Bumblebee in it. So now this confirms that there is Bumblebee-Nvidia and Primus. So now you can do sudo apt install Bumblebee, Nvidia, and Primus. And then you're going to go in and you're going to do this, add architecture, update, and then install all this. And then you can also install Steam once that's done. So you might get an error trying to run Optirun. Optirun is what you will use to run an application in your Nvidia GPU. Sorry, GLX gears. So to run an application in your Nvidia GPU, you use the command Optirun, and it'll go. If you get an error saying that it can't find certain libraries, you need to create symlinks. So I will show you quickly here. If you go into user lib i386 GNU, I've shown this on another video, but this is specifically getting NVIDIA working, so bear with me if this is a bit repetitious. So libgl.so.1. This is the file that Optirun needs to execute the application on your NVIDIA GPU. However, this file needs to exist in the NVIDIA folder in here. So I created a symlink here. So how do you create a symlink? Open up a terminal. I know I have two open, but bear with me. So I'm now in the NVIDIA folder, and this file, let's say, is not here. So I can actually do lib and gl. There you go. So let me delete it. So now it's actually gone. So to create the symlink, we're going to do sudo ln -s, and we're going to go user lib i386 gnu libgl .so.1, and then we're going to go user lib i386 NVIDIA libgl.so.1. So you're going to create a link from this file and you're going to put it here. So enter, and now you can see it's back. So it will use this to link to the other one to get it running. Another place you have to do this exact same thing, is in x86-64-linux-gnu/NVIDIA. So it's basically the same thing, and you're going to go into NVIDIA and you're going to create a symlink here. So it's the same path, except instead of i386, it's x86 underscore 64. So you can actually just hit, let me just move this up here so you can see. Yeah, so sorry, that was cut off. I didn't notice, but that's what I typed in the last command. So you could just basically hit up, and you can go in here and change this to x86 underscore 64 and keep scrolling back and go x86 underscore 64. And then when you run that, it'll make the new symlink in the Nvidia folder here. So then it might run. However, it's very likely if you're running something off of Debian testing, which is currently Buster. And this isn't only Debian now, this is any Debian-based distro, Q4OS, Nvidia, and anything else that's based on Debian except Ubuntu and Ubuntu-based distros. You might run Optirun and GLX gears, and you'll get a black window, and then it'll just crash. So you could test this to see if it will work by doing double underscore glvnd underscore disallow underscore patching equals 1, and then Optirun GLX gears. Now, if your window comes up and everything works, you know that you need to run this disallow patching in order to get it to work. Now, so you don't have to type this every single time, you're going to do sudo nano etc environment, enter. So you won't have this line here. I have this line here because I added it. So you're going to add this line to this file, and then you're going to do Control O, enter to save, and Control X to exit. Now log out, log back in, and you should be able to do Optirun with GLX gears or whatever you're using. If you don't have GLX gears, by the way, you need, it is Mesa utils. You need to install Mesa utils. So if it's a Debian-based distro, install this. You can install this as well, utils extra, just with sudo apt install Mesa utils star. Enter that, and then it'll install it, and that's what will give you GLX gears. So I'm running GLX gears by itself without Optirun. This means I'm running off of the Intel GPU and not the Nvidia. This works in any desktop environment. I've been using it on. I've been using the Manjaro version with GNOME, and I'm using this Debian version with KDE. So it doesn't really matter what desktop environment you're using. It should work with XFCE and whatnot. If you're using GNOME, I've demonstrated in other videos that there is a GNOME extension. If you don't know what that is, I'll put a link up here. There's a GNOME extension called Nvidia Indicator or something like that. And it will show you a little icon and let you know if your Nvidia card is turned on or not. There's also this widget that I have here in KDE that does the same thing. So if I do Optirun GLX gears, it'll light up, and it's supposed to show the temperature over top, but it's showing some text. There's some kind of error or glitch, but it doesn't really matter. It turns yellow and blue, which means it's on, and then you can do this, close it, and it'll go back to black and white, and all that text goes away. So the GNOME extension is similar. It'll have a little icon in the system tray. It'll normally say off, and then when the GPU is running, it'll show you the temperature. And then when it's done, it'll switch back to off. So that's how you know it's working. If you're using a different kind of desktop environment like XFCE or something, and you don't have these two options, there is another way. So what I can show you is, you could just do this just to test. This is just to confirm that it's working if you don't have those two options. So you're going to go watch cat proc ACPI BB switch. So just break this down here. the watch command will repeat a command every 2 seconds, and it will repeat cat bb switch. So this will show you your device ID and that it's off. This is your Nvidia GPU. So right now it's showing that it's off, and this refreshes every 2 seconds. Now if I run Optirun GLX gears, it's going to pop up and this changes to on. So this confirms that the GPU is switching on as it shows. So if you're using OpenBox or anything else where you don't have any way to find out if it's actually turning on or not, that's a good way to find out right there. And that'll work with anything. You can see it switched to off right away. It might not switch to off right away because remember, this refreshes every 2 seconds. So wait for it to finish closing down and then switch it to off. So that is confirmation that it works. Now, lastly, Steam. Steam has options. If I go into my library here, let me just get rid of this and minimize this. So if you go into your library, whatever game you want to run, right click on it, go to properties, and where's my properties window? Set launch options. And you're going to type Optirun space %command %. So then hit OK and then hit close. Now when you launch your game, it's going to launch it under Optimus and it'll run under your Nvidia GPU. So that pretty much covers all of Debian, and Manjaro. Manjaro is by far the easiest to set up. Debian takes a little bit more work, but once it's set up, it works fantastic. I've been using it for quite a while, and any Debian-based distros. And Ubuntu, you can get it to work with Prime Select, but it's not ideal. You have to reboot every time you switch. So if you really want to stick with Ubuntu, that's one way of doing it, but then you have to put up with rebooting every time you want to switch back and forth instead of being able to just on the fly switch to your Nvidia GPU. I hope this helps out. I've given you the 2 best options that I personally feel are the easiest to set up and the most stable. So Manjaro, if you don't mind using a rolling release, and Manjaro is available in GNOME and XFCE and KDE and everything. So you can use GNOME in, or any DE you want in Manjaro really, and then you can use any Debian-based distro. So that gives you tons of options for if you want rolling release or fixed release. Totally up to you. I've given you the 2 from both sides of the fence, and hopefully that gives you enough to make a choice and get your Nvidia Optimus up and running. If you have any issues, post it down in the comments. I'll try to help you out as best I can, but to be honest, it's really hard to fix and diagnose things through YouTube comments. So hit up the forums for your distros if you want quicker and better help from people who know more than I do, probably. And yeah, that should get you going. Hopefully you guys are up in gaming, and if you have to change distros, then so be it. Those are 2 fantastic distros to choose from. So with that, I would like to quickly thank my Patreon patrons who are absolutely wonderful and are the producers of this channel. My executive producer, Nuno Amorum, and also thanks to Carlos, Arknos, Carl, George, Matt, Kit Says, and Ronald. You guys make this channel possible. Thank you so very much for contributing. If you'd like to contribute, head on over to patreon.com/Dorian./. That's it for now, guys. Thanks for watching. Until next time, bash on.